All right, so I made a post on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago where I asked if the testing lab provided a temperature controlled curing box for initial curing of concrete cylinders, who should be responsible for providing power to that box? We had about 43 comments, and based on those responses to the poll, and based on that, about 65% said the contractor should be responsible. I agree with this, but really it kind of depends. It needs to be a conversation. But where do you go when you don't have an absolute answer? This is where 301 comes in. So ACI 301 is something you should be very familiar with. It is a default specification for structural concrete. It's a specification that was created to complement the 318 building code. It should be all inclusive of all forms of structural concrete. And it was written primarily to the contractor. There are portions of the document that are written for the specifier so that the engineer and the owner have some options during design. So for instance, like a designer can design a structure to the 318 code, then they can use that same 301 specification to complement that design. So let's look at what 301 says about the responsibilities of curing concrete cylinders. So here in section 1.7, testing and inspections, it lists the responsibilities of the contractor. And in section 1.7.2.2, it says provide a secure location and sources of water and electrical power on project sites acceptable to the owner's testing agency for initial curing of concrete strength test specimens. I don't think this is designed for someone like myself as the testing agency to go out and say, you have to provide water and power. And so it's really not for that. It's really to create, I think, a conversation at the front end of the project during the planning so that it's just brought up. How are we going to cure cylinders? And I think this conversation isn't happening as much as it should be happening. And I think if we, as a collective group, would start having these conversations at pre-con meetings, that we can alleviate a lot of the issues around how cylinders are cured. So hope this helps. Go out and have those conversations when you're setting up your concrete testing. Who's going to cure cylinders, how we're going to cure them, how we're going to get water, how we're going to get power. Just start the conversation early so that everyone agrees and there's no hiccups down the road. Hope this helps.